Hey, welcome to our second exciting live episode of Esoterica the Podcast. I'm Chris Schultz.
I'm Aaron Christian.
And our special guest tonight is Andy Voelker.
What's up, y'alls?
How's it going?
I'm good. I just wish I hadn't said what up, y'alls.
That's right.
It was awful.
So Aaron is 20. And the other day I said, bye, Felicia. And he says to me, don't you try to be relevant. And I'm like, dude, that's from the 90s.
That's right.
That's Friday, man.
Ha!
So
I'm not allowed to say things that people my age say, just so you know.
Yeah.
Totes. Yeet.
Yeah, I was bragging that I was the wokest scoutmaster, so
Wow. But that ain't saying much. I don't know if that's saying much.
I don't know what that's saying.
That's great.
So for anybody that's tuning in, we're doing a free form tonight. We don't have an album to review. We're just hanging out, talking about current events and life and all that good stuff. And we have one viewer. Am I seeing that right?
It went down to 0 a second ago, but I think we're back up to 1. We're just that popular.
So anybody tuning in on YouTube, you can chat live with us. I got to shut the. So anybody. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, we're trying the YouTube thing, so it actually goes to our website this time because we had a few people that wanted to watch but couldn't because Facebook.
So. Scourge. The Scourge Facebook.
Now we're up to 3 apparently.
Ooh.
Magical.
Wow.
Although as much as I hate Facebook, I kind of feel like right now, if you're not on there, you don't exist. Like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Well, it depends on if you're 40 or 20. I think. Because there's a dividing line with Facebook and Instagram. And it has to do with whether you could see any gray in your whiskers here.
I know. Yeah, I remember being on Friendster. Forget MySpace. I was on Friendster.
Right. What was the? Yeah, well, that's right. MySpace too, right? I somewhere out there. There's 3 or 4 tracks of an old band of mine on MySpace somewhere, which no one will ever see again. Which is a good thing. This is a good thing. These things go obsolete. Let's just hope that it's not that old crap of mine is not in like the Library of Congress. Under hack jazz musician, just.
I don't know. Internet Archive's got some scary things in there.
Oh, man. I didn't even want to know.
The shark is a scary thing.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was our first review?
That sucked.
Yeah. Terrible, terrible album. Terrible.
Don't wish that on anybody.
No, but it was royalty free, so,
Yeah, we didn't have to pay for anything.
I don't have to worry about that because I don't get reviewed, so it's fine.
I do have, and I'm not going to turn the camera around because it would make people nauseous, but I get a Gypsy Schaefer CD like about 20 feet from me.
Is that right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, man. Nice. That's classic. I'd sign it for you, but 6 feet.
Yeah, my sister stopped by the other day. She works at Joann's. And they've been deemed essential. Mm-hmm. So I asked her to pick up some green material for me so I could do a green screen. And she's at my front door with a broom holding out the bag so that she could be 6 feet away.
Right.
And I'm like, how fucked up is that?
It's pretty fucked up, man.
It's the new normal.
Don't say that. I hate that. There's nothing normal.
I hate most of the things you say, so.
It's not normal.
I mean, yeah, right. And look, the 6 feet thing is hilarious. Like I haven't been out in public a lot. I've been trying. Fortunately, all my teaching stuff is able to happen here at the house, so I've been able to avoid going out. And the other day I went out for beer, the essentials, and people don't understand 6 feet. Like I don't understand. The CDC should have said 12 feet. Then maybe you'd get 6 feet out of people. I don't. Yeah. People either can't add 3 plus 3 or they don't know what a foot looks like, But it's amazing. Like people don't understand keeping your distance.
Kind of hard.
Right.
Like I was trying to explain to my daughter, she wanted to go to Dairy Queen. And I'm like, I have a compromised immune system. So I'm like,
Right.
you have to decide seriously if that ice cream is worth my life. So she's like, well, we don't get out of the car. And I'm like, I'm trying to explain droplets. I'm like, if the dude 2 cars in front of you sneezes out the window, you drive right through that cloud. Like,
Right.
it sounds stupid and it sounds like overreacting, but that's
on the funny side of it, it'd be funny. She's like, well, ice cream dad. Are we talking Rocky Road here? Or are we talking
all right.
rum raisin? What's, chunky monkey maybe. Look, I mean, you're a great guy and all,
but ice cream,
chocolate. They got chocolate peanut butter soft serve, man. You're gonna die. That's it.
Oh.
Oof. You're done.
Yeah, I have an unhealthy relationship with ice cream. It's called pre-diabetes. All right. Hey.
Here's the dirty bit.
So do you guys? So Aaron, are you really 20 or was he joking?
No, he's dead serious.
Wow, you're 20.
Yeah, I'm a child. Not anymore, but
right. Yeah. No, you're almost old enough to drink.
almost. Almost.
Yeah. And then we can start reviewing some beers instead of weird sodas and fruit punches.
Yeah, I mean, beer is kind of weird soda, to be fair. Beer is
Pretty
kind of
much.
weird soda. Weird soda. When we were kids, my papa, they used to do like a family picnic twice a summer to kind of encapsulate all the birthdays of all the grandkids and cousins. And they used to bring alcohol to this park, and they would call it lemon soda. Beer, lemon soda, Like, we always thought we all knew what it was,
Yeah.
Well, it was a different time,
Well, it's like calling soda soft drink. I never really understood that. I'm like, it's not soft.
I never called it pop. Never called it pop. You guys call it pop? Pop?
I've never heard anyone call it pop.
It's a regional thing.
It's
right?
definitely regional. It's not where I grew up.
Tonic. People, my grandparents called it tonic.
Right. Yeah, and with the accent, tonic.
Tonic.
Hey, pick up some fucking
See, I always
tonic.
thought tonic was seltzer water.
It is. No, but tonic is actually different than seltzer because tonic has the quinine in it. It gives a different flavor to your gin and tonic. Seltzer and they're actually different, but it's, whatever. Kodak film, whatever,
Yeah. Xerox.
Jello pudding, whatever your thing is. So, I mean, Aaron, do you have kids at 20?
Oh, no.
Not that we know
I'm
of.
still living at home.
Nice.
Going to college. That's my life.
And Schultz, you got 2, right?
Yes.
So does it make it like I've been freaking out, with the pandemic, and so I'm wondering, like, and I don't have kids. I just got to worry about my sorry ass, you know what I mean? And I'm still freaking out, right? So I wonder what it's like for you having kids and a wife and people to take care of, even beyond yourself. Like, I don't think I could handle it. So I wonder how the fuck you're handling it. That's what I wonder.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like both of my kids have been practicing social distancing for the last 5 or 6 years. They're totally cool in their bedrooms.
Right.
And fortunately, my wife, she's working from home, so she's like my barometer for whether it's a weekday or a weekend. If Carrie's sitting on the couch on the computer, it's a weekday.
It's probably not a Saturday, right?
Yeah. But I can tell you honestly, all 3 of them are sick and tired of listening to me because since I've been out of work, all I have is Board of Health. And let me tell you, people all day are messaging me and emailing me and freaking out on Facebook. So I'm like very stressed, but ironically, not for my family, for me.
I tell you, I'm bored of health. But
hey, look,
like the fun, yeah,
but it's less likely to kill you when you get it.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about it.
Just before this started going really sideways, I had an appointment with my rheumatologist, and she legit said to me as I was sitting there, she's like, "This will kill you. So you need to take it seriously." I'm like, thanks for making me feel comfortable and not scared.
Right. Yeah, nice bedside manner, lady.
I know.
Well
but
done.
I think the interesting thing about that is that was early on. So like doctors at that point were trying to scare people straight.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I think I saw her like the 4th of March. So that was, at least in my mind, that was before everything started going nuts.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a, you know, I'm just a musician, right? But this has been serious from day one. So I don't understand how people are surprised now that it's so serious. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I've known this is bad from the beginning. How did you not? Maybe I watched too many scary sci-fi movies, but you know,
Yeah.
I've been scared of this thing at the same level since it started. And people are like, "Oh, well, now we got to wear masks. This is scary." What are you talking about?
We were always headed this way.
This is what it is. Ah! I can't. I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. It does my, as the Brits say, it does me head in.
Well, that's what our health agent has been saying. When we first started gearing up, he's like, if you feel like you're overreacting, then you're not acting fast enough. Like if you wait until it seems like the prudent thing to do, it's way too late.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I got family in Jersey. No matter what happens with this, I'm not ever going to get back there until this is over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be allowed. First of all, I shouldn't. And I do care about people, and I don't want to spread shit around. It's part of why I don't go out, because my roommates are on the thick of it. So if they get it, I'm going to get it, which means I could be a carrier right now as I sit here without knowing it. So it's part of the reason I don't go anywhere is because I'm not stupid, and I know that it's dangerous for other people.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people. It's just crazy, man. So for me, that's a part of the problem. I wouldn't be able to get to New Jersey. And as it gets worse and worse, they're going to keep people from driving from state to state. And they're already doing that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I could go and live in my brother's garage for 14 days and then go to my mom's house and live in the basement, because it's not possible. This is way too contagious for that to even really work. So
I've been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you self-isolate if you, like, for me, or Aaron, you live in a house with your family, like, even if I didn't leave this room, which is separate, I still gotta piss and shit and eat. Like,
right?
Yeah,
can't live inside a box. I know. The funny thing is, I said at the get-go, like, I remember saying this to my daughter. I'm like, if people don't listen, we will be made to do this at gunpoint, and we're like a week away from that. At best.
Yeah.
Chris has mentioned, I've been doing some funny like jams and a little like spoken word, and I kind of complain over music sometimes. I'm no comedian, but it's kind of therapeutic. And, like that's the issue, man, that's the kind of thing. And I've said that a few times, people are just, there's nothing you can do. There's not much you can do really,
Yeah.
And it's going to run its course. It's got to run its course. And it's sad because a lot of people are going to die from this thing. But for how contagious it is and for how entwined our lives are, unless you live in the woods in a shack, people are just around. There's no,
Right.
there's
no
way to avoid people.
No.
So we're just all going to have to roll the dice and see what happens, because it's got to run its course. I wish there was a better answer. Yeah, I really do.
I don't know, man. It's and the other thing that I think, like, I don't want to. I'm not going to defend people being stupid, because there's no shortage of that. But I think for a lot of people, when you picture the end of the world or an emergency or some sort of disaster, it's an event that occurs.
Yeah.
And this is like this slow, invisible thing that just keeps happening. It's not an event. So I think people are having a hard time wrapping their head around it.
And when they do happen and you're not exposed to it, the really good example is the awful fires that were happening in California last year. Or not even a year ago, right? I mean, that wasn't even a year ago. That was like half a year ago, right? Because that was the end of the summer. And basically like 2/3 of California fucking burned down, And it's awful. And you hear all these stories. And if you follow news and if you listen to editorial and different people went through terrible stuff there. You can't really run from fire. It's faster than you. And so all that stuff happened. But here on the East Coast, pretty removed from it. It's sad, it's awful, and all of our insurance is going to go up because the companies have to absorb, and we all end up paying for it, and it's sad. But this thing here, this pandemic, COVID, this is everybody's involved now, and that's what's really different. So you brought up Watertown. So when the marathon bombing happened, I was actually out of town. I go to Jersey to see family quite often. A couple more, 5 or 6 times a year I drive down. And that was the marathon bombing April break. So because I teach, I have April break off, and I usually head to Jersey. And I was in Jersey hanging out with a saxophone player friend of mine, and my phone goes off. Dude, you seeing what's happening in Boston? And I was out of town that week. Yeah. And when I got back to Boston, it was really weird because everybody had been through this experience, and I lived there, but I missed all of it. Wow. It was on the TV and everything. And I remember we used to play at a place called Tavern at the End of the World out in Charlestown. And I went down there just to get a bite and a beer, and everybody was weirded out. And it was like, wow, this is messed up, And I had I'd really missed it because I was 5 hours away.
That was crazy. I remember the thing that really struck me with that was, I was impressed with the fact that all of Boston, basically was asked to stay home, and they did. It didn't take any prompting. But where the hell did the police get all the military grade equipment?
They've got it. They've got all of it.
I had no idea that there were armored personnel carriers, and then there they are rolling down the street. I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah, they probably have squads, So, that was, to me, that was the government got themselves a practice run for martial law. They got themselves a good fat practice run. And you got to understand why it was okay. Because that is, look, I'm going to say it the way it is. It's a white community. Watertown and the surrounding areas, it's mostly a white community. If a government if that kind of thing had happened in Dorchester, it might not have gone so smoothly.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a libertarian and a little anti-authority. And the worst part about it was when they finally packed up and left, a lot of people went out and gave them and I'm like, really? This is.
Yeah. Do you not know what just happened?
Martial law just happened in Watertown. And thank you for setting up a military base in a mall parking lot, and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, you see that. It's not the police cars and the paddy wagons; it's those weird unmarked cars, the dark gray Fords with the blacked out windows. And I've actually know one of those guys. My uncle. I have a cousin on my mom's side who's a detective for the state police. They're serious people, and then they're good at what they do. Look, I'm like I said, I'm pretty anti-authority, but those guys know what they're doing. It's just scary to see it. We don't see it in America. We don't deal with that. We don't see guns. We don't see the militarized police, and all the police are militarized. My mom was talking 2019. My mom was joking last year about going to Woodstock, and she's got, hips and knees. She ain't going nowhere, but she was joking about going to the Woodstock. And I said, look, don't go to Woodstock. It's like a crazy town. And then, in when Woodstock happened in '69, they had one stop sign, 2 cops, and 1 revolver. You know what I mean? Now you go to a 7-Eleven. All the cop cars are SUVs now. You know why? Because you can stand up 7 shotguns and AR-16s in between the 2 drivers. You can't stand them up in a sedan. All right. So they're heavily armed. They have all of the flak jackets and everything. And again, we're getting into that super dark territory where I start getting really dark and really into the conspiracy theories and anti-militarization of our fucking police and all that stuff. But it's a reality. They are armed to the teeth. Even the smallest municipalities are heavily armed.
Yeah.
And while in some ways that makes us safer, in other ways it couldn't be a good thing. But what do I know? I'm just a musician, whatever.
Oh, and honestly, I have a lot of friends who are gun nuts, and I got nothing against Second Amendment rights, but gun nuts are nuts. And whenever I hear somebody say, "Oh, we need to have a right to bear arms to defend ourselves against the military," I'm like, the military has fucking nuclear weapons. Like, you're going to take your 22 long range and go up against the military? Good luck with that.
Dude, they have sound cannons that can make you deaf. They have, I mean, the stuff
Microwave
now,
guns that make you hot, and it's crazy.
I know.
Cook your food.
And there's no window to open. Anyway, I mean, it's crazy. But I can understand with gun people, like, guns are fascinating.
Oh, they are.
And I've never shot a gun myself, but most people I've talked to, the feeling of shooting a weapon is invigorating. And as a man myself, who's a little obsessive, and I like to collect things, and I like to know about stuff. I mean, I'm surrounded by musical instruments, and this is the mouthpiece you play onto. I have so many of them. I had to start buying toolboxes to keep them all in. Okay, so I would understand, if you bought, a 38, to take care of your family, but you need something to practice on, so you bought a 9 for down at the thing, and you keep one in the locker, and then the guy you ran into, he's selling another 9, and it's a little different than the one you have. And oh man, but if you get yourself a shotgun, you should have it. And then you got 3 shotguns. Well, before you know it, you own 150 guns and 75,000 gallons of water, and you got rice, and you got gasoline buried in the yard. Yeah. I mean, it's a slippery slope.
It really is.
So I can understand the obsession of collecting something. Something you get interested in and you start to learn about. If I got into guns, I'd have a lot of them.
Yes.
Because it's just a part of an obsession that a lot of people have, whether it be watching The Office over and over again, or it be whatever your thing is that you're into collecting or kind of fixating on. A lot of us have those things,
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Jersey and collecting,
forget about it.
Almost a non sequitur. I was down in, this was 5 years now. Red Banks, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Have you seen that show Comic Book Men that's on AMC?
Yeah, I saw you on that show.
All right, you saw it, so you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about. Yeah, I made the pilgrimage.
Yeah, but they didn't pay. They didn't want to put the money up.
So will it surprise you if I told you that was scripted?
No.
No, yeah.
It was pretty obvious.
Yeah, they decided it would be better. It would make better TV if they didn't agree to buy it. But the guy, Robert Bruce, who was the expert they called in, he was already there. He gave me his number afterwards, and I hooked up with the guy on Facebook. I sold it for $4,000.
Was that what you wanted for it?
That's what I mean, if I had gone through an auction house and stuff, I might have been able to get 8. But the problem is finding somebody that has the money.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was buy actual Biker Scout armor, which I did. So,
so it works out.
I was happy.
Sure, man. Yeah, the whole auction thing, that's tough, and it always was. Like, I always knew, like, people used to say, yeah, collecting baseball cards, which is the thing people used to do back in the old days, folks.
My dad still does.
I'm talking to you, Aaron. Anyway, but it was just like you had to find someone to buy them. They're not worth anything until they've traded hands.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one. But yeah, Red Bank's cool. They did a really good job on the Count Basie Theater. I've not been in there myself, but they did a beautiful job restoring that place. They have music there. I used to play funk gigs in Red Bank. It's Jersey, man. But that's wealthy Jersey. Red Bank is nice.
Yeah.
It's fancy. That's Gucci bag vibe.
Well, we made, because I'm a Kevin Smith fan and we were doing the show, we made the trip over to Leonardo to visit the Quick Stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's not such a Tony neighborhood.
No.
And it's so funny. Like, I saw Clerks. I saw Clerks too. I've watched all those Kevin Smith movies. The actual Quick Stop, there's like the parking lot and then the street. There's no big parking lot. It's just a tiny little thing.
Right. Well, it's the same with the place from The Sopranos. I think it's called the strip club where Tony owns a Bada Bing, right?
Bada Bing, yeah.
Bada Bing. It's called something else. It's called Satin Dolls or something up on Route 17 up North Jersey. I think Route 17. Most people, your one follower is going to be like, no, it's on Route 3 North, blah, blah, blah. but that's right on the street. Like there's no parking lot like you see in the show where the Ralphie, whatever this, we're not going to talk about it, but but it's a little, cause it's right up on the street there, on the highway there, but the sign is the same. It's the same place, I grew up in Island Heights. My, shout out to the Bayway. I grew up in a little town called Island Heights, and right around the corner, we used to drive by all the time, was apparently a house that was used to film one of the Amityville horror movies. Mm-hmm. Not one of the original Amityville horror, not the original house, but somewhere they filmed. And the people who bought it had it modified so that it no longer looked like the Amityville horror house because they were tired of people coming and bothering them on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently they redid it so it just looked like a regular triangle-shaped house, regular roof house. But it used to look like that house, and some stuff was filmed there, from what I remember. Jersey strong, baby. Jersey's hilarious. But yeah, they're all with everything that's going on. They're all deep in it too. There's a big concentration there in New York City. So. My brother lives up in North Jersey, and there's, it's going down there. There's a lot of people. They're all really packed right up on top of each other. So it's heavy, heavy stuff up there in North Jersey, and, they're all, fist bumping and blah, blah, Jersey, That's great.
I grew up in Philly, so I know a little bit of South Jersey.
Yeah, Philly, yo. So we say Philly, yo.
The city of brotherly shove.
Hey, Phil Philadelphia, as the fellow used to say.
Hey, Aaron, did you send Deb a link?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I saw Deb Colagero was having some trouble connecting.
Just have her call IT, right?
Right. Oh my God, was it 8522? I can't even remember that.
I don't even remember. Jesus.
Helpline.
Jesus, man.
But it's funny. I was on a Zoom call with John Williams and Ray Brackett just the other day.
Nice.
The lunch fun.
All right.
Ray is still working for those bastards.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it's paycheck, man. You got to work. Got to work,
I remember work.
Oh, I do too.
We're going on what'll be 2 weeks Tuesday that we've been out.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, so I want to advance a theory here. We're all familiar with the Phantom Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a throwaway line in the Phantom Menace when Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are standing in front of Boss Nass, and Obi-Wan says, "You do realize you have a symbiotic relationship with the Naboo," but it's never elaborated on exactly what that symbiotic relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a theory, and it's Gungan milk. I think Gungans are wet nurses to the Naboo, and that's how they stay youthful.
Wow.
But nobody obviously wants to talk about that in polite company.
No, I would agree not. I mean, because it's the just pronouncing Gungan milk is kind of gross, It's just, it sounds gross, it doesn't sound palatable. I mean, sure, you could mix some Nestle's Quick in there and it might be okay, especially the pink stuff might help,
Strawberry Quick.
Man, forget about it. Gungan milk. And how do you go about getting it? Like, is that a symbiotic relationship, or are you?
Well, the other thing is you never see the female Gungans, as far as we know. So I think they're all like cows that have been herded by the Naboo, and then the males are the warriors living in the underwater city.
But in order for it, okay. But in order, and this is just bringing up more questions. I'm not trying to answer it. But if they're milking the Gungans,
yeah,
right? So you get your Gungan milk. What could the Gungans get out of it other than the pleasure of having been milked? And I think that there's no better way to say that. I wish there was some
having been milked.
But the pleasure of having been milked.
Which
frankly, I'm sure is great.
Yeah.
If the bunny ranch tells us
right?
anything, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. And how obviously these are long ago in a galaxy far, far away. So they have like a machine for. Is there a process for milking Gungans? You know, how do you milk a Gungan? Is it done by
I'm
hand? Is it done by machine? And then is there artisan Gungan milk that's really drawn by hands? You know, you go to Whole Foods.
I'm understanding your theory correctly. Are you saying that the Naboo just drinks straight from the, I'll call it udder?
You can call it udder. You can.
Yeah. I hope not, but we didn't see that side of Naboo society.
I was just picturing a nursing Gungan with a little baby Naboo.
Yeah.
So,
but that would explain why Padme aged at a completely different rate than Anakin, you know, because
those twin sons of Tatooine might have something to do with it.
Yeah. This is great. I think we should spend the rest of the half hour, the remaining half hour, on milking Gungans. I think that there's no way to avoid
milking Gungans.
This is my ladies and gentlemen, this is my 5-point plan for Gungan milking. Let no Gungan go unmilked.
Well, that might be why Boss Nass sent them through the planet core, because he was pretty pissed that Obi-Wan brought it up. He's like, we don't talk about that.
What did they do?
We know Nusa the Naboo.
We give the milk of our own accord.
Oh my gosh.
We'll be hearing from...
Honestly, I only drink the organic Gungan milk because I feel like you get the more earthy flavor, you know?
Yeah.
Organic, grass-fed only.
Grass-fed
Gungan milk.
Free-ranging Gungans.
You know, and that skim Gungan milk is bullshit. 2% or better. I got to be honest with you. Skim Gungan milk is doing nothing for you.
That's water pretending to be milk.
That's exactly. Best friend I ever had. We sometimes still never talk.
Oh my God. I know I've said this multiple times. When I managed to get myself entrenched in town politics, I did not realize that Park and Recs was a documentary.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. Oh God, I'm going back and watching all that, man. And I've been watching all that, and I've been going back through Community. I shut Hulu off, one less expense in the during Armageddon, you know. So I'm trying to watch as much as I can before they shut it off. So I'm watching Community again, you know, just to.
Yeah, I never watched Community.
Man, I'm a big Dan Harmon fan. I like Community. I love Dan Harmon's podcast, you know, Harmontown. I'm a big fan, you know, and obviously Rick and Morty, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I got into Rick and Morty because a younger drummer that I play with, James Davis, I would just be kind of grouchy and complaining about shit, and I would sound like Rick, and he would be like, dude, have you seen Rick and Morty? And I'd be like, no, I'm just complaining about something, you know, whatever. Because I'm grouchy and complain a lot, apparently. And and he's like, dude, you got to watch it. And he would say this, oh, man, you sound like Rick. You got to watch Rick and Morty. And finally I watched it, and I was hooked from there. You know? But I've always been a fan of those, like, you know, obviously, you know, Simpsons goes back. And then, you know, I watched Metalocalypse. I couldn't believe. Like, I don't like metal. I'm a jazz musician, and I like more like soul music stuff. And I would occasionally watch an episode of Metalocalypse and be like, okay, but whatever. And then at one point, I just watched all of it. Man, is that a great show? It's really like the band aspect, and they all kind of hate each other. And it's just so much like what music is really like sometimes. It was really a good show. And, you know, Family Guy, of course. I'm a huge Aqua Teen Hunger Force nut. I love Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Got deep into that, you know. So I like all those animated comedies. It's like it brings you back to your childhood, but it's adult humor. And I never really grew up much. You know, you see me as I sit, a 43-year-old man child. It probably comes no surprise that I love animated comedies. But that's kind of my vibe.
Speaking of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, were you working in Charlestown when the whole Moonanite shit went down?
Oh yeah, dude.
I remember that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was amazing, you know, and how brilliant, you know, and the stupidity of the police department.
Thank God.
It's a bit. They're doing a bit. What are you doing?
Yeah, and when I would go to work, I lived on Mount Vernon Street, which is on the other side of Sullivan Station. So I'd walk through that parking lot all the time. I walked by that damn thing that morning and never noticed it. I didn't see it. And if I had, I would have been like, oh, that's weird.
And I was into the show, so I would have known what it was. You know, a lot of people would have seen it and not known what it was. But that doesn't mean it's a bomb. How crazy are you?
Yeah, so terrorists around the world like to have their bombs have a cartoon guy giving the finger because that's not conspicuous.
All IUDs have pink neon lights on them.
I thought they were black balls with the little fuse sticking out of the top.
Ha!
Says Acme on the side.
Ha! With a big stupid rocket attached to it. That's pretty good. But you know, fucking that's it, man. You know, I'm a little worried about a friend of mine. Like I've been doing some jams where I kind of like talk. Not really. I would never be able to rap or even rhyme beyond 2 or 3 sentences. Mm-hmm. But just doing that kind of stuff. But it's iffy because I tend to get dark. And I'm kind of for lack of a better way to put it, I'm kind of a public figure because I teach music, and I have students, I have people that I'm involved with, I have organizations that I'm involved with, and it helps to not be a crazy person to stay involved in things. Yep. So it's kind of an odd line to skate between entertaining your friends and saying real things, and getting in trouble. And that's one of the interesting things about the world that we're in now. A number of years ago, last year or so, a friend of mine, a great avant-garde jazz musician named Jim Hobbs, who's a really heavy dude. They have a really amazing band called Fully Celebrate Orchestra. He does these shows in JP at the place called the Midway, which is an old rock club. It's been there a long time, one of the last of those. And he has like other groups, like they play like avant-garde crazy jazz, but he'll have like a rock group or a singer-songwriter or something to mix it up so that people come to the show. It's not all about jazz. And he has also some other acts. He has a friend who's a comedian that does cabaret stuff, and he brings people, and he's had a magician in the past, And Jim said, and I fancy myself, I like to be funny. That doesn't make me funny, right? But I like to be funny. I like to be funny. And there is a difference between the two. And so I'm teaching, and I get a text on my phone, and it's Jim. He's like, hey, man, I need somebody for next Wednesday. Would you want to come do some comedy? And I texted back yes, and immediately regretted it. I mean, instantly regretted saying yes to it. And I tried to get out of it because I teach pretty late on that day of the week. And I said, I don't know if because I'm in Milton. And he's like, oh, we don't start until 10. You're fine. I'm like, fuck. Okay.
I can't get out of it.
Can't get out of it. And I wrote material. The fun part was writing. Writing the material, and I bombed on stage. It was awful. I was not funny. No hope of being funny. The funniest part, all of it, was looking over at Jim, just like what he had caused, And I totally bombed. And one of the funny things about that was, as a musician, it wasn't an unfamiliar feeling, bombing, not having response back. I think if you were someone who never performed in front of people and had a bombing experience, it would be hugely traumatic, But, like that, for me, it was just like playing the brunch and having a beautiful ending to a beautiful ballad, and people were just like eating eggs and talking about the Guardian UK, like that's like, it's like I've been there. I've bombed many times. It wasn't that unfamiliar,
Yeah.
But I had a bit that a thing that I'd written, and it was to use a very bad word a lot. And the whole point of the thing was just to overuse this word, a specific word that's really derogatory towards women. And and the whole point was just to say this a lot, and for it to be like confounding how much I was. And I walk in, and it's, Jim and his lady friend become his wife, and their couple friend, and a few like lesbian ladies in the back, and I'm like, yeah, you're not doing that bit.
This is not going to go over.
This is not happening. And and I think that's the danger, because nowadays, in the 80s, you could have been a teacher and then be a stand-up comedian at the Improv, and the two worlds didn't connect.
Yeah.
But we don't live in that world anymore. All this stuff is connected.
Oh my God.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna try it again? You're gonna do that again?" No. Am I not doing that again? Because I don't look up to the comedy where you pull your punches.
Yeah.
I look to comedians and comedy where you're saying what you're thinking, even if it's rough. Yeah. And so I wouldn't want to do comedy. I wouldn't want to have to, cover it up or hold back from saying things, because for me that wouldn't be authentic. That it's not real. you know.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna start going out all the time and get filmed saying a bunch of awful shit, I'm gonna lose all my work. So yeah. So let's see what's more important, you know.
Right.
But you know, now on the other side of all this crisis and stuff, maybe that doesn't matter as much. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine. So for those of you who are watching who don't know, I'm a professional jazz musician, and what I do is I play music a lot for fun. I make a few dollars for doing that, but most of my living is teaching music. You know. So there's a lot of, you know, it's hard to find a balance. You know, there's no, I don't know. It's tough because you're in the public eye, you know. So you got to watch yourself. You got to be careful. You know, if I were to, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, Bill Jones. I've been teaching. So Chris and I worked together back at the VNA back in the day. I call it back in my day job days. And I did that for a long time, and it kept me out of wedding bands. You know, I didn't play in a terrible wedding band where everybody hates each other and themselves. You know, I didn't able to play the music I wanted, and I had this day job put away for retirement. You know, the whole thing. It was a good thing. But you know, that's how we know each other, basically, from the old day job days. You know, Bill Jones, my friend, he said, so when, you know, because he was teaching, that was 2008 was the financial crisis.
Yep.
When everybody lost their retirements and all that stuff. And I was talking to Bill the other day. He's like, man, you know, this is tough now because a lot of our teaching and our gigs is all going away. He's like, just wait for 2 years. I said, well, yeah, I know. And I already know all this. But he's like, yeah. He said, before you got into teaching, we all went through this before. The financial crisis hit in 2008, and by 2009, all the teaching work dried up. Because getting private lessons for your kid is extra money. Paid out. And a lot of these folks, even the well-to-do folks that have the money to get their kids lessons, they were all feeling this financial crisis thing. They were all feeling it, and the teaching dropped out for like 2 years. So as we sit here right now, I'm pretty prepared to be basically out of work in a year. A lot of people are out of work now, and some of that stuff might come back. Right now, I'm still working because of being able to teach online, but in a year, this is not going to be good.
Yeah. Although I would like to think, and maybe I'm just being an optimist here, is with this online forum, there's a new opportunity that wasn't there before. Like maybe this is how things are going to be done going forward.
Right. And certainly an opportunity for me to take advantage of what I'm learning in this process and putting that to work going forward, you know? Yeah, absolutely. Positivity. All right.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. Send me some.
Gotta stay positive.
Yeah. Can you Skype me some positivity? You know?
Make sure my wife knows I was being positive.
Yeah, well, we won't tell her. It's fine. Besides, my darkness cancels out your positivity by far. I mean, you would have to work pretty hard. You would really have to spread it on thick, brother, to really get
I have a bad habit of going in the same direction. And it's funny, like I'm not a teacher. I wash rocks for a living, but I'm a scoutmaster. So, like, I get the public thing. I got to be careful about what I'm doing because there's kids out there that could see me acting a fool, and
absolutely,
you know, I can't get fired, but I could certainly get asked not to come back. Sure,
right. And you're trying to do something good, so you don't want to jeopardize that.
Yeah,
because ultimately, you know, you're trying to do something good.
So
that's, you know,
I get a lot of stuff. If I'm balancing out my karma, I still got a lot of good I got to do to make up for some things.
Yeah, no doubt. Aaron, what do you do, man?
I wash rocks with him.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we watch together, and then I go to school 2 days a week. That's my life.
That's kind of how the idea of the podcast came together, because like at lunch, we just sit there in the lunchroom talking shit. And it's like, you know what? Maybe we should do that online.
People should hear us talk shit.
Yeah, at least 3. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're hanging in there.
Hey, you're ahead. You're ahead. In jazz, we joke about the band outnumbering the audience. You know, a lot of times.
I was in a punk band a couple of years ago. It was our second show ever. We had the band outnumbered everybody in the audience at the Middle East. It was pretty sad.
Yeah, that's living the dream, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, you're washing rocks and you're rocking hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we have somebody said something to me funny. I was at a show at the Lily Pad in Cambridge, and there was like 8 or 10 people there. And the one guy came in, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is like a festival crowd." And somebody said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, when it's jazz, you multiply every one person by 100. So this is like 1,000 people here." And I'm like, "That's fucking great, man. I love that." So if you get 10 people in jazz, that's a festival crowd.
That's funny.
They'll get pissed if you can't get lobster rolls, but you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about, would you guys say that probably out of all the new Star Wars movies that came out, that probably Rogue One, despite the other 3, is probably the best one?
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed Solo. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Man, saw you say that. I like Solo too, man. It was cool.
Yeah, it was unnecessary in the overall thing, but it was just fun from the get-go. So
I liked it.
I
good shit
just
going
enjoyed
on.
Darth Vader like beating shit up, you know?
Yeah, Rogue One, I felt like, is the movie that anybody who's been a Star Wars fan since the beginning wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like a war movie. It's Star Wars.
Yeah, right.
Let's see some war.
And the guy, the bad guy that was in charge of the Death Star build, he was great.
Oh my God, did you
the white cape, the guy with the white cape and everything?
I just finished watching him on HBO's The Outsider, I think it was called. He was really good in that too.
Yeah, pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was. Like, it wasn't famous people. It was these great character actors, you know, and they made good villains because they were maybe a little strange looking. And, you know, like, I think that was something that was different about certainly the original 3 Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
That they're just interesting. It's not pretty Hollywood.
Yeah,
You know,
they're real people.
Right. No one will watch that.
Chris, did you end up watching the deep fake with Ewan McGregor as Alec Guinness in episode 4?
No, I haven't seen that. Deep fake freaks me out, man.
I thought it was pretty good. They do the side by side too, and
almost can't tell.
Well, no, you can totally tell. It's just, you know, it makes everything else make sense when you do that. You know what I mean? No matter how inauthentic it is.
Yeah, the last deep fake I watched was, I think it was, they put Jim Carrey's face on Jack Nicholson in The Shining, and it just weirded me out, man.
Sure.
It looks like him.
There's a few Bill Hader doing voices, and
he changes back and forth.
Face over, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I just saw these guys that were doing, I think it was the Mummy or something like that, with The Rock is like the scorpion, and they put a deep fake of The Rock's face on it because the CGI was just awful on it. So they cleaned up the shot and everything. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably looks better because that movie is dated in that respect. Those movies.
Yeah, they like shined up the skin and stuff like that. Made it actually look like he was in the scene, you know.
And fuck Brendan Fraser. Is that who it is? Is that the guy? Is that who that is?
Yeah, he's making a comeback apparently.
Fine, whatever your thing is, guy. You know.
George of the Jungle.
In what? What are they doing? An Ocean's 17.5? What's he going to be in? What is
or like Fast and the Furious 90?
Yeah, right. Gone in 63 seconds. What are we doing here? Okay, so all right, for you gentlemen, what is the worst John Cage movie? I don't have an answer to this. I'm just posing it to the floor.
John Cage or Nicolas Cage?
Okay, not John Cage.
Yeah, because I love John Cage.
He didn't do any movies, so I'm wrong about that. No, what's the worst Nicolas Cage movie?
Oh my God.
The only one that comes to mind, and I was not a fan, was it National Treasure?
Right.
Oh, that's stupid fun. You know, actually, I saw a really, really good Nicolas Cage movie recently, The Color Out of Space. It's a H.P. Lovecraft story.
Never even heard of that.
Independent feature. You can get it on Redbox. He was really like understated in it. It was good. That's the opposite of your question.
Yeah, right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, like Like, and the reason I like that Gone in 60 Seconds, I actually like that movie because I like cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a terrible movie, but this shit about I like, but I mean, there's great movies, but there's also like, really? Why?
Yeah, that Wicker Man remake was pretty bad.
I bet. And then the one where he's like a ghost rider, and he's on fire when he's on his motorcycle, but then he's not on the motorcycle, he's not on fire. But better to be on fire when you're not on the motorcycle, because when you're on the motorcycle, the fire's bad for the motorcycle. Come on, Nicolas Cage. We see what you're up to. We don't like it.
Oh, one of our viewers said Con Air, which was, I feel like Con Air has some camp value, but it was definitely a terrible movie.
Right, yeah, and then poor John Malkovich. This guy's like a Shakespearean actor, and he's on a shitty plane with Nicolas Cage. Jesus Christ.
Oh, my Lord.
Poor guy.
John Malkovich. It's a weird movie.
Being John Malkovich, or yeah, that's a good one. Spike Jonze, man.
Yeah, man, it's wild. It's hard to watch because it's a dark movie, man.
Yeah.
That movie is messed up,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like my taste in music. I like difficult movies. If I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm like, whoa, like that was a good movie for me.
Right. You guys watching this Tiger King thing? You guys up on Tiger King?
Oh my God, yes.
I have not watched it.
It's definitely worth watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing mixed things. I don't know.
Yeah, in fact, I read it. What do you call it? That guy, Rick Kirkman, was on David Spade the other night, and he said, like Joe Exotic was a lot darker than what we saw in the show. Like he was shooting animals in the head just because he liked it, and it was crazy shit. But the show, goes from being a little weird to just like being off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
There's supposed to be a new episode coming out this week sometime.
Yeah.
So
follow up. It's like that dude down in was it LA who tried to hit a ship with the train?
Oh my God!
Whoa! What?
Yeah, did you guys hear about this?
Tried to do
I saw that.
What?
So he was an engineer of like a train, and he tried to hit the naval comfort ship that had just come into dock, and
he derailed it.
Surprisingly, he didn't make it, but he did manage to derail the train.
Hey, look, small battles, right?
Right.
Wow. I've never tried to hit anything with a train. I mean, I think that's like
you're kind of like stuck with what do you call that thing that the train's on? Right?
It almost, what, Chris? It almost sounds like a Mad Lib. He tried to hit blank with a blank, and a 30-year-old said boat, train. Like that's what that story sounds like. He tried to hit a ship with a train.
The whole Family Guy episode where they have a song about train on the water, boat on the track. I think of the lyrics.
Is there?
They didn't know the difference between a boat and a train or something. It was hilarious.
Wow, I gotta check that out.
Do you guys see the guy spitting on the food or whatever in Kingston at the Stop and Shop?
Is that a thing?
So best bit about that, it's a 65-year-old guy who was spitting and coughing on the produce and Stop and Shop, and a couple of customers took him down. The local newspaper did an article about it, and they commented on the fact that Marty, the robot, was in the frame and seemed to hang around the scuffle the whole time.
Really? He was wait. He was taking stock of the situation.
Oh. No robot.
There's a part of me, and I'm the kind of person that I do everything I can to not end up living in a jail. So I spend a lot of my time holding back to that threshold as a person. But I would love to destroy one of those robot things. Just, let's see what's inside this thing. If we jump on it, does it break? Do we have to lift it up and drop it? What if you hit it with your car? I don't have a big enough car. Do you got a big car? Let's hit this thing with our car. For me, I would like to destroy one of those things. But the problem is then you end up living in jail, which sucks.
Yeah. I've heard that's pretty unpleasant.
It's like people.
Hey, we ain't got no Twitter in here. Anyway.
Well, it's like so my daughter got us an Alexa for Christmas.
That's great.
And the kids were making fun of me because every time I ask it something, I say thank you. And it actually responds to that.
Sure it does.
So Nick, my son, he's like, why do you say thank you to it? And I said, listen, dude, one of these days, these things are taking over, and they're going to remember that Chris Schultz was polite.
That's right. Chris Schultz played ball.
Right?
Yeah. I was in Jersey around Christmas, and usually when I get down there, there's no food to eat because my mom's preparing food for everybody, for the thing. So you get there, and the fridge is stocked with food, but there's nothing you can actually eat. So I went out to one of those Longhorn steakhouses, and it was dinner time, but there was space at the bar. So I sat at the bar, ordered some food and a beer, and I'm sitting there, and the guy's working at the bar, like right in front of me. He's working on something. He's looking down, and he looks up, and he looks this way. He goes, "Alexa, I need bar glasses." And I was like, "Oh, hey, man, what was that?" He's like, "Oh, her name's Alexa." I said, "Holy shit, that's awesome, man." I said, "That's amazing." I said, "Are you guys just like fucking with her all night? Like, hey, Alexa, play Steely Dan." And he's like, "Yeah, all night, man." So God. Can you imagine? And she had the name first, to be fair. She was 25 or 6.
Yeah.
It's not her fault this shit happened to her, Hey, Alexa, play Steely Dan. I wouldn't. She'd hate me. I couldn't stop doing it. I wouldn't have the self-control to leave that girl alone, man.
Well, when
Alexa, order Q-tips. Okay. Whatever it is.
Since I'm a TNG fan, I have mine response to computer instead of Alexa. So you have to say, "Computer, what time is it?"
Does it really do that?
Yeah, you can choose. There's a couple of different ones you can use.
Hey, shit for brains. Play Steely Dan. Great. That'd be great.
SNL did this whole thing for an Echo for old people that can't pronounce Alexa, so it just responds to any name close to Alexa.
Yeah. Charlie, Johnny, Frank, May.
Hey, thingamajig.
Yeah. Hey, Harold, what's that thing that we're supposed to talk to?
So George, who was listening in on it, said his Alexa's going crazy right now.
Alexa, buy porn. Alexa, order dildos on Amazon. Alexa, order a shotgun. Alexa, this is great. Let's do this again, a whole hour. Let's do a whole hour of fucking with this guy's Alexa. Alexa, cough on groceries.
Oh, my Lord.
Too soon? Is it too soon? Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Can you again? That's one of the crazy things about the world we live in now. That's a terrorist act now. Coughing at people.
Yeah, they tackled that guy down to the ground. That 65-year-old guy. They just. Well, Chris is too.
Well, I hope they didn't break his hip, and then he ended up in the hospital and died of corona.
Oh.
What?
Luckily, the guy didn't have corona.
Did I say that out loud? Anyway. People are screwed up. This is great. I enjoy having a laugh with you guys. It's rough. People are being weird out there. It's getting weird.
Yeah.
It's getting weird. I haven't driven my car in a while. One of the interesting things about all the teaching going online, and we're all stuck in our houses. And I love cars. I go to car shows. I know a lot about cars. I'm a kind of a car nut. I'm enjoying not driving. It's because of the stress, the stress of traffic, and it's amazing. And I love cars. It's a weird feeling because I love cars. I really do. And it's a strange feeling, but I'm not really missing driving and commuting to my teaching gigs, One of my things I'm in Watertown, and I teach over in Brookline. It's like 2 miles. It takes 40 minutes to get there.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
Like that's our world that we live in. So one of the small benefits is that we're not all driving all the time.
Yeah.
What's interesting is it'll take the edge off all the bad stuff that comes from everybody buying toilet paper, and now they have to cut down 1 trillion trees to make more toilet paper because the stockpiles are gone. But at least we're not putting carbon out anymore. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, first thing I'm doing when this is all over is installing a bidet.
You got one. You just hit yourself in the hose with the yard. It's fine. Just go around, warn the neighbors that you'll be exposing yourself 3 to 4 times a day, but it's fine.
Yeah. Hey, don't mind me over here.
Look, it's end times, man. You got to do what you got to do, just like in the Depression, Grandpa used to hose the kids off in the yard back in the 20s. That's what they say,
Yeah.
With the hose. So
Yeah.
does it kick us off automatically, or do we just go as long as we want?
I have control over when it kicks us off, so
Nice.
whenever I feel like.
Cool. So let me say a few other awful things before we
go. Somebody's got to say it,
Hey, look, if not there, but before the grace of God, whatever.
Yeah. All I know is I've been ranting for weeks now that I am not wearing assless chaps when it comes to, if this gets all Mad Max on us. I don't even know where to buy assless chaps, to be honest, but.
Well, it's just a chap, and then you have to cut the ass out to show your ass off.
So you got to make them yourself?
Chaps. Yeah, you just make them yourself. Check this out. I was trying to make a mask.
Ooh.
I don't know how I'm going to see anything, but at this point, I'm not that worried. Yeah, now we're making our own stuff. It's 1927, and we're all waiting for the new Model A to come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. I had an idea, and then someone squashed it. I had an idea, the only thing, I don't have anything, like most Americans. I used to have some rubbing alcohol. I used it to clean a pipe, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any rubbing. I don't have any masks. I think in China and Korea and places like that, that's something that they keep in their homes. Masks. Yeah. This is new for all of us. So by the time it was like, oh shit, you need a mask, they're all gone. I don't be able to buy a mask. So I had this idea. One of the things I do have at the house is a bunch of fucking vacuum bags that nobody uses anymore. And I thought it would be a really good idea. And I was saying on Facebook, vacuum mask. I was like, nah, it's fiberglass. Don't use that. It's like, fuck.
Ooh.
That was a good idea. I thought I had a good idea.
That sounded good. I would have put one on.
Well, you could, I don't know. If you wrapped it in a paper towel so that the fiberglass couldn't come either way.
Yep.
And it'd be okay. But then just why not use the paper towel? I just feel like it's like the water and the water coming out of the wall, and you put your finger there. I don't know what a mask made out of a couple of t-shirts is really going to do for you. I think it's it's a duck and cover. It's the modern duck. Yeah, make a mask. Go on YouTube. Use hair ties.
I think we're at that point where, it won't hurt. So why the hell not?
Right, I know, and that's why you do it. Both times I went out. You know what I've been using? I have I tend to sprain my ankle a lot, so I have some Ace bandages, 4-inch, the full size ones. So I've just been wrapping them all. I look like Chevy Chase in that shitty movie where he's invisible.
Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Daryl Hannah, right?
I love that movie.
Not the porn actress, by the way. The other Daryl Hannah. It's a good movie. It's Chevy in his somewhat likable phase,
Yeah, that was he did it after Fletch.
Yeah, right. He did everything after Fletch.
Yeah. Oh, Chevy.
But Dr. Rosen, Dr. Rosen. Yeah,
How the greats have fallen.
Well, they're supposed to, But so I've just been thinking about how I'm going to make masks, to go out, because eventually I'm going to have to go out again for beer.
Yeah.
And food, but beer mostly, but food.
I was actually thinking, so I have buffs, those stretchy things that you put around your neck, and you can pull them over your face too.
Right.
I have 2 of them, so I was actually thinking about wearing those with the coffee filter in between them.
Sure. Or again, a couple pieces of paper towel. It's more about layers. I think what they're saying is for the droplets to go through, you want to have as much. But layers. Oh, trippy, man.
See my fingers? They're finging.
Yeah, I know. I didn't. Hell, that's right. I married that chick. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Simpsons references.
As my marriage is built on Simpsons references.
Hey, it's that's why you're still married.
Yes, that's on the worst days. That's how we communicate.
I just watched the Tobacco episode the other day.
Oh my God!
Forget about it, man. My favorite lines is, "Ew, this tastes like grandma." And then Wiggum basically, this does taste like grandma. Too much, man. Too much.
You know, I have to admit, like I stopped watching New Simpsons years ago because it got to the point where the writers on the show are fans of the show, so it's not as funny. Now that they're on D Plus and they were on FX all the time, I started seeing some of the new episodes, and some of them are actually pretty funny.
A couple of years ago, they came back and were really funny. Like there was one season in particular, I happened to watch the first episode of the season, and it was probably 2-3 years ago now. And they were funny for a bunch of episodes, and then it was like, oh, yeah, okay. I already watched all this 30 years ago. Right, fine. I mean, I feel like I don't really watch Family Guy anymore either, and they're still funny. They're great writers. It's pretty current.
Yeah.
And they're still very funny, considering a lot. If you started over, you wouldn't be able to get a lot of that kind of shit on TV. But they have like a sort of a standing on the scene, so people, I think they get a pass because it's a known show.
Yeah.
And so they're still very funny. I just don't really, like I got back to South Park. Like I had missed a bunch of South Park, and then got back to that because it was like after a while you just not watch it anymore. And then the last couple of seasons have been great.
Yeah.
So you kind of get back to it,
I sort of was on a almost an anti Seth MacFarlane kick till I watched The Orville. Have you seen The Orville?
Man, I really like The Orville, but didn't he change networks, and that might not continue now because he left Fox?
Yeah, I think it's on Hulu, and I don't know what the status is because I dropped Hulu.
Second season was great. I liked that show a lot, man.
Yeah, I was. I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I just put it on because I was running out of sci-fi to watch, and it was really good.
No, I liked it a lot, and the effects were good. I mean, a lot of it was pretty good. I mean, funny. I like Norm Macdonald as the Blob character. Man, sign me up, Norm Macdonald. Forget about it.
Oh my God, we got to talk about Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Have you seen his talk show?
Yeah, man. I love it.
And he was another one. Like, I don't know where my head's been that I just didn't pay any attention to Norm Macdonald. He's friggin' hysterical.
Oh yeah. Big fan. Big fan of Norm Macdonald. You
listen to Norm? You watch Norm Macdonald, man?
I am Wikipedia-ing him right now. Trying to be relevant.
He's an old guy. That's all.
Yeah, used to be on SNL.
He's like he's kind of meta in a way. He's kind of ironic because his humor is not raunchy or particularly over the top. He's very dry, and I think that's why a lot of people don't find him funny because it's very dry humor. He's very dry. It kind of takes some imagination to be like, oh yeah.
And he loves those like antiquated idioms, like the shit that comes out of his mouth. He sounds like somebody's grandpa.
Yeah, it's like watching Orville Redenbacher do comedy.
I've seen a crap load of stuff he's in too.
Yeah, absolutely, and and he does little parts, and he's been in some good movies, But he's just a lot of the you'll find that a lot of the comedians really look up to Norm because he's funny as hell. Check him out. Like he did one. He did. I don't know. I'm gonna do it. He did a really good thing. He was on Letterman at one point, and he did this bit about like. It turns out like this Hitler guy was a bad guy, it's like the whole bit is like, he's so simpleton about it. He's like, yes, I was doing some history research and it turns out there's this guy Hitler. Kind of a jerk or whatever, it's just the whole that it just unfolds. And by the time he's done, you're laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
But it's not flashy right out the gate. He's great. He did a thing where he told a joke on Conan or Letterman, one of them, and the joke goes over the commercial break. Mm-hmm. And the whole time he's telling the joke, it's funny the whole time because of the way he is and the delivery, but the joke isn't over until the end of the commercial. Like they come back and he's still telling the joke.
He's still telling the joke.
So good. So that's the classic guys. Him and. Like I think if you guys used to see the documentary about Gilbert Gottfried, the Gottfried documentary. You see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Way worth it. About a year and a half ago, somebody did a documentary about Gilbert Gottfried, and it's excellent. And he's another guy that all those comedians look up to, very funny. He's got the scratchy voice and people think he's annoying, but man, if you get past that, that's a seriously funny guy,
I love watching him read 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh man, yeah. Forget about it. I have a friend, I guess you can pay. I have a friend who has down in Rhode Island has like a small big band, and they must have paid a few bucks. Like you can get Gilbert Gottfried to do your Facebook commercial. It was hilarious. It was just Gilbert Gottfried talking to his computer going, yeah, and if you like jazz, nobody likes jazz. I don't know why you would like that, but go see these guys play it. Then he's reading at the whatever place, And it was just, to me, that's $250 well spent.
Yeah, right.
Me, I don't,
Yeah.
If you could get Gilbert Gottfried to questionably promote your gig, that's fucking money well spent. And it's tax deductible, so that's really good. You know what I mean?
Nice.
But but I grew up loving comedy. We always liked stuff that was funny. Family was always funny. And then when my mom married my stepdad Bill, and Bill used to have tapes of Live at the Improv, and we would put these tapes in. And he would tape them while he was out fishing. My stepdad's a commercial fisherman. I guess he would tape them so he'd have them to watch. And my brother and I would just watch Live at the Improv. And that's back in the day, young Sarah Silverman, young Louis C.K., all these comedians that are now, our top guys, Bill Maher, all these people. And we would just watch comedy. We weren't probably old enough to watch all that stuff, but that was kind of started me being a comedy fan,
Yeah, I grew up on. I remember my uncle Mark. Every time he came down to visit, he had Carlin on cassette tape. All those bits.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people talk about now with the hashtag Me Too and the previous all the lead up of political correctness. A lot of these things have changed, but we grew up the Eddie Murphy Raw and Delirious was a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You were looking for somebody that had those tapes. I remember I got Delirious and listened to it, and you didn't want your parents to know you had that tape. Because it was literally Raw, right? I think Delirious was first. I don't know which was. I don't remember the order.
Yeah, I don't.
But that was a big deal. Like that was how you heard about that. That was you had to know someone. Oh, you got it. Oh, I have it here. Used to dub tapes. Aaron, we used to have these thing called tapes.
Yeah, I'm not
do
that.
No, you are. So we used to have to dub a tape. You would go fast. So, but that was the deal, and because Richard Pryor was a little before my time. Like I got into Richard Pryor and Carlin later, but that Eddie Murphy that was a big deal, And sure, none of that stuff holds up. I mean, if you hold it under the lens of where we are now socially, it's awful. But that was funny shit back then, man. I don't know what to tell you. That was real deal stuff, and we were all listening to that. But it doesn't hold up.
No, although honestly, and I remember I was having this conversation with my wife. Part of I really feel like Carlin warned us about where we are socially right now with the right versus the left, like this strong reaction against political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
Carlin was talking about it. He's like, you got to stop softening the language. And I swear to God, half of the deplorables are just so fed up with being told how to think and how to act that they just, did a 180.
Well, I always felt that one of the things that helped elect Donald Trump is that, there are a lot of people in America who are really tired of being told they're stupid and that they don't know what's right for the country and that they're the bad Americans. And I think that that's one of the things that led to the election of this crazy fascist businessman is that people feel the quote the L big letter L, the liberals and the hipsters and the millennial world, everybody's if you're not that bright or if you're poor white or if you live in the South, you're kind of told that you're wrong about everything, and that's what's caused a lot of this pushback, and that's what led to the election of President Cheeto, Mr. Cheeto, So I think that had a big. And again, Chris, that's what you're talking about, like the reaction, the reactionary, ebb and flow, high tide, low tide. These things are going to push back against each other.
Yeah.
And that's just beginning, so we'll have to see what happens with all that,
If nothing else, when we get on the other side of whatever the hell is happening right now, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if this country can produce another New Deal to preemptively to keep us from ending up in a depression. If we're able to socialize some things, so I don't know. I don't have any answers. I live on the poorer side of the spectrum, so I'm the kind of person that would benefit from socialization of healthcare and things like that. But there are a lot of people that don't want to see other people have. There's a weird thing that's negative where people want to keep social services and things like this from happening because they don't want that person to have it.
They don't deserve it.
Right. And that's not helpful to anybody. And that's unfortunately what we're really up against is that, well, that other guy shouldn't have it. And I don't care if I don't have it and my friend doesn't have it if it keeps that guy from having it. And that kind of adversarial relationship is the thing that's going to keep pushing us farther apart and keep this from being a really great place to live as far as what the world needs going forward, But what do I know? I don't have any red hats. I only have blue hats. So.
Sneeches them on the beaches with stars upon ours.
Ha! Yeah, but I don't got no answers, just questions.
Yeah. I don't know. And nobody's asking us. That's the problem.
I just think we really haven't. We've accomplished a lot, gentlemen, but I still think we have not gotten deep enough into Gungan milking. I really feel like we need to get back to the issue at hand.
Gungan milk.
How is that I think I might have to reach out to, was it Pablo Hidalgo? I'm embarrassed that I know his name. That's the guy who's in charge of continuity for the entire Lucasfilm franchise. I might have to reach out to him.
Is it, is it white? What color is Gungan milk? Is it like a pinkish hue?
Well, honestly,
could it be the blue milk that they're drinking in the first movie?
That's exactly what I think it is. I believe that it's probably exported because Naboo's a pretty wealthy planet. They're making their money somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many intergalactic hookers make a lot of money muling a Gungan milk? That's right. I said it.
Weird.
Muling Gungan milk.
Intergalactic hookers muling Gungan milk.
I like the sweetened condensed Gungan milk. It really makes a dandy banoffee pie. And a lot of Americans don't know about that, but it's a British thing.
I like the powdered. It's got a longer shelf life.
Yeah. They use it in Kraft Mac and Gungan milk and cheese.
Come to think of it, like you never see a grocery store in Star Wars.
No.
Like, where are people getting their foods?
They kill each other for it. We'll be there soon.
This stuff is worth 8 rations.
Yeah. No. Wait, it's portions.
Portions. Yeah. It's not even a ration. It's a portion.
I like the first one. I like honestly, the third new Star Wars, I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. In a cool way. The effects were great. I didn't like that they kissed at the end, but then he dies. So you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
He had to go. That's that whole arc.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a little bit of fan service I was not a fan of, but.
Although, you know what I just watched? So apparently somebody leaked. I can't remember who wrote it. The original script for episode 9. Was it Colin Trevor that was going to direct it originally? So his script leaked. I watched like a 10-minute claymation.
I saw that too.
Version. Yeah, it was, and that was like I would have enjoyed that movie too. It was good.
Yeah. I would have liked it either way.
You know what? Honestly, and like I know, like the Star Wars fan base is one of the most dysfunctional and rabid fan bases on the planet. Most of the hardcore fanboys are just assholes. For somebody who's been a fan since '77, like I'm just happy there's Star Wars in the world.
Right.
If I can go to the theater and sit down and see that opening crawl and know I'm getting Star Wars, like I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. Just go and enjoy it. Shut up. Just watch the damn
Yeah,
thing. There's a great. It comes back to Aquafina Hunger Force. They did a movie in between season 4 and 5, and it was not well received, as you'd imagine. And they made a bunch of funny commercials for Adult Swim, and one of them is Carl, and it's just him on the camera. He's like, "Hey, I heard you didn't go see the movie." And he's like, "We freaking made it for you." And that's what I think of. I think of that. It's like, "We freaking made it for you. Go see it."
Yeah.
The hell are you waiting for?
They don't really. They ruined my childhood. Dude, like douche. Nobody can ruin your childhood.
Even the Bible writes itself into a corner. What do you fucking want from these people?
Hey, so not to plug our show, but our next
next week,
podcast
review of the Bible.
Yeah, we do. We do. It's the Residents have an album called Wormwood. It's all unusual stories from the Bible.
Wormwood.
A lot of penis mutilation and sex and murder.
As you do.
Yeah, the Book of Genesis has got some weird shit in it. But yeah, we do a whole episode of weird Bible stories coming out Wednesday.
Wednesday at midnight.
Man,
yeah,
looking forward to that. I enjoy me a good weird Bible story.
Well, we have 21 of them. So
I'll tell you. Can I be a guest on the burning bush one? You know what I'm talking about? Hey, forget about it.
Well, you know what's funny? So we try to keep our podcast episodes to under an hour, and we had our first interview with the band that was like what, a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, 1 hour and like 59 minutes. Yeah.
And then the Residents one where we do the Bible stories, that clocked in almost an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I was saying it would be kind of fun to get some edibles or light up and do a review of something. But I'm like, that'd be like a 4 or 5 hour episode for sure. You know?
Sure. Yeah, time moves slower. Stop.
Oh, no.
Although it would be an interesting study, like to dose first and then watch the decline of content and continuity. Then everything gets slower and like, what?
Oh my God, they're on Gungan milk again. Jesus Christ.
Gungan milk.
Say this. Gungan. Just all night, man. Forget about it.
I will admit this right now. So I have a VHS tape, and this was probably from like maybe 93 or 94. My friend Mark and I sitting in his basement playing Pitfall, and we ran the TV speaker through a bunch of effect pedals, and it's just us like for 2 hours playing this game. We were stoned out of our mind.
Wow.
Thought it was the greatest thing. I have since watched that video like the last time I had a VCR, and I'm like, dude, you just hit rock bottom, man. You done smoked yourself.
You think it's almost over, and you hit pause, and it's right in the middle. Like, holy crap. I did that with The Irishman. Did you guys see The Irishman?
Yes. Yeah.
I was down Jersey and I put it on late, and I hit pause just to take a leak, and it was 1/3 done. I'm like, yeah, all right. All right.
I know, it's Scorsese has the nerve to shit on the MCU. I'm like, dude, you've been making the same movie for 30 years, man. As much as I love Scorsese.
Sure. And don't we all? But a lot, like somebody was from one podcast I used to watch, they were talking about, like The Departed, like he won for The Departed, but it was like he should have won for Goodfellas, he should have won back in the day. Like they threw it to him for The Departed. Departed's a great movie, but
yeah.
Too little too late,
Yeah.
But I'm sure Lorenzo's Oil was totally, is that what they lost to? I don't know.
Lorenzo's Oil, oh my God.
Ha, Nick Nolte, all right.
I almost said Bridges of Madison County, but that's another squinty old guy. That's not Nick Nolte.
Yeah, they're all right. Are you wearing a bra? Just I don't know, whatever. I can't do a Clint Eastwood. Forget about it.
Yeah,
I can't even do Marty McFly pretending to be Clint Eastwood.
Marty McFly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want. I'm looking forward to getting into. I just watched a documentary about Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm going to watch the trilogy. I enjoy all three of those movies. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, you know. But even the third one, I like the Old West one. I don't care. Fuck you. I like it. I'm watching
Yeah.
it.
I can't remember the last time I've seen that. I have
Second
personal
one.
issues with Back to the Future. We went to see that movie the day my parents divorced and we moved. So, like,
You've got other issues with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
not that it's a
No,
bad.
I like all three of them, man. You know, they're all very good. You know.
I worked the Boston Comic Con a couple of years ago. I was working the autograph line because you can get paid to stand there next to celebrities.
Really?
Christopher Lloyd was there. They were doing a Back to the Future reunion, and that old shit was charging like $250 to have a picture with them.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's Christopher Lloyd. He's got a huge history, but what has he done in the last, I don't know, 15 years?
Right. But that's okay. He's Christopher Lloyd.
Jason Momoa is only charging 100, and he's a hunk.
Well, you know.
I'm not afraid to say I bumped into him outside, like literally walked into him, and I was at a loss for words.
I don't really know who that is.
Aquaman. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
Nope.
Oh, geez.
I missed all the great Game of Thrones. Aaron, you Game of Thrones guy?
Oh no.
Good. See?
Again, because Chris makes me not want to watch it. Same as Star Wars. Same as The Walking Dead. When he stops liking something, I'll think about it.
Yeah. I had a friend who ruined Rush for me. Same thing. Like he wouldn't shut up about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah, no, I didn't get into Game of Thrones. You know, it's fine. Whatever. I'm sure it's great. Okay. This is my Game of Thrones experience. The roommate at the time was into it, and I watched the last 2 episodes.
Oh, those are like the worst.
And I felt like, but I knew everything I needed to know.
Yeah.
Cool. Saved myself 6.5 years, you know. Done. You know. It's fine. You know. Look, I lived through Lost, okay? So you can't damage me. My heart's been broken, and I am just a shell, okay? So you're not going to damage me, you know.
Oh, I loved Lost.
4,400? Who knows what I'm talking about? The 4,400. You know what I'm talking about, Schultz?
Oh my God, yeah, I do.
It was a 1-season show that could have been great. It could have been great.
Could have been great.
But it sucked, so it wasn't great. Could have been great.
I don't know. Was it all right? So Damon, is it Damon Lindelof who was involved with Lost? Because I love Lost too, and it broke my heart. The Leftovers.
I liked that.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the Watchmen series that they did this past year, holy shit, some of the best TV you'll ever see.
Really?
And because
you're into the actual Watchmen, so.
And what they did, which was really surprising, it took place in the Watchmen universe, and it was a story that takes place, I don't know, maybe 20 years after the events of Watchmen. So it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's not exactly a sequel, but it was incredible. It was really, really good.
And was that independent, or was that also a graphic novel? Like, did they make all that up, or did it come from canon in some way? No,
they just made it up. A lot of references, and they stayed. They didn't change anything that was established canon. But they just went to places like I never would. I think Alan Moore actually would have liked it. He'll never watch it, but I think he would have appreciated it.
Right. You know what I really liked? I went in for, and I don't like all this paying for all these subscription services bullshit. You know, that pay for this and that, and YouTube Red and Hulu and Amazon Prime. Screw all you. So I balk a little against that. But I paid for CBS. I'll tell you what. The new Star Treks were great. Star Trek Discovery was really good.
Have you watched Picard? Is that good?
I like that. That was great. It was really good, man. So but I'm not. You know, a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek are usually pretty polarizing, and most people like one or the other. But I didn't grow up. I'm not there because my dad liked Star Trek because he dug Kirk the old show.
Mm-hmm.
And when Chris and I were young, that was rerun all the time.
Yeah.
We all saw all those old Star Treks because it was in syndication. And so that was a big deal. And my dad loved, because, like Star Trek is like, that's what space travel would be like if we actually make it there. Like they're real ships. They're really, they have actual principle behind them. There's logic behind all that. I think that's what my dad always liked. Star Wars is mythology.
Yeah.
It's like Tolkien. And there's no rhyme or reason between the ships or how the guns work or anything like that.
Yeah, it's the story, not details.
Right. So I grew up being a Star Trek guy, and we saw Star Trek movies in the theater back in the day. And then through friends, I got into Star Wars, because friends, Star Trek's, lame, and you got to watch Star Wars. And then, of course, fell in love with Star Wars. I love Star Wars, But it was, for me, I like both. I'm not anti Star Trek or anything like that.
I've never understood that. To be fair, I had never really given, other than the original series, much attention. And then probably my last year at the VNA, when I got sick of telling them I had no work to do, and I watched all of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, which I love both of. Deep Space Nine was incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
So I'm now a huge, retroactively, I guess, I'm a huge fan of the Star Trek universe. The Expanse, another good hard sci-fi show.
Oh yeah, I started that, but I didn't continue with it. I think I watched a few episodes. I got to get back to that.
Yeah, it's a little tough to get through in the beginning, but it gets really, really good after that.
I'll keep that in mind, because I think I watched one or two and I just didn't revolve back to it.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Yeah. We should get paid for all these plugs, man.
It's not going to happen.
Our 4 viewers, we're not, we don't have the market reach.
Yeah, Deb Calogero is really going to run out and watch Star Trek.
She might. Deb, please.
Tell him we sent you.
You got nothing. I mean, well, actually, I don't know if she's still working in healthcare. She might actually have stuff to do right now, but I just assuming the rest of the world is like me with jack shit going on right now.
Right. Yeah.
Lordy.
Dig it. Do you guys wash? Do you guys remote wash rocks? Do you wash rocks remotely? Can you?
Oh my
God. We actually floated the idea of bringing stuff home to work on, because we get our rocks in 55-gallon barrels. I got a truck. I could load up the back of my truck and process shit at home. But no, we're just chewing up our vacation and sick time, and then I don't know
whatever's next.
Yeah. Fortunately, I think I'll have a job when this is all over, because he's got shit he needs to sell. But when that is, I don't know.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy. Sweet. Well, I should bail out. I got a family to check in on. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
This was a fun time.
I had a blast. Super cool.
So thank you, Andy, for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks, guys. I had fun. It was cool.
Yeah, we've been playing around with this streaming stuff, and I think we kind of got so I don't know if we're going to continue doing Sunday nights, but if none of us are doing anything again in the future, just keep in touch.
Yeah, let me know. I'd love to do it again.
Cool.
We'll bring in our like top 3 shittiest movies we ever saw, and we'll just pontificate about that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
cool, thanks for having me. I had fun.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. And don't forget, on Wednesday midnight, new episode drops on everything. So
that you can see us scrolling down the bottom, esotericathepodcast.com.
Esoterica the podcast. Esoterica podcast.
You can now subscribe to our new mailing list to get updates for new episodes. If you haven't done that yet, visit the website.
I'm going to make a beat for you, because I'm Esoterica the podcast. Boom, boom, gack, boom. Esoterica the podcast. I'll do it like that.
Nice.
I won't do that to you. But anyway. All right, guys.
All right, man.
Good times. Stay safe and stay alive. You know.
Yeah, you too. We'll.
I
We're gonna make it through
I
this.
used to say that sarcastically, but you know, I've changed my tune.
I hear you.
All right, I'm gonna hit the end broadcast button now. I don't know what happens when we do that, but all right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks
everyone for tuning in. Take care, guys.
Later.